Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. Injury reserve has been on the rise for the better part of the last decade. The trio of Richie with a T, Groggs, and Parker Corey as the producer for the two rappers has been a group that has experimented with sound in a really interesting way, incorporating some elements of noise, electronics, while also injecting their sound with tasteful jazz elements too, that definitely set them apart from the crowd early on in their career, particularly on the project that really broke them out in Live from the Dentist Office and then the subsequent album Floss, that both were really dope and really, again, made their personality and their brand clear, and it really started to build a fan base for them. On top of all this, on their Floss project, these guys showed that they can really make songs that impress on multiple levels, production-wise, lyrically, but also in the hooks too. The group's two rappers in Groggs and Richie possessed an infectious chemistry that made their songs feel really fun and filled with personality. After their self-titled studio album debut, with features from the likes of Freddie Gibbs, Rico Nasty, JPEGMAFIA, the sky seemingly was the limit for this Arizona rap group. But then, during a chaotic June 2020 for us all, tragedy hit the group as Groggs passed away for unknown reasons. When that happened, I, like many, I assume, thought this was the end of the group's run. No more music was to come from Injury Reserve was my assumption. But, surprise to me at least, they had an album coming out in September of 2021 titled By the Time I Get to Phoenix. And it wasn't just some money grab posthumous album, but a fully fledged left field, put all their chips on the table type album, which thankfully was still created while Groggs was still alive. And it's safe to say the end result was not an album that I expected to hear. The Injury Reserve self-titled album, while good, felt like a tamer version of what Injury Reserve was capable of. It had a lot of good moments and certainly a few oddball and experimental sections to it, but it wasn't my favorite of theirs. But this new album is absolutely bananas. This album truly goes all in to the experimental realm, crafting a sound that I haven't heard before. It has a musical foundation that is equal parts hip-hop and rock to me, featuring drum machines, live drums, prominent use of fuzzy guitars, ambient, noise elements, and more. Mixed by LA artist Zero, this album achieves a remarkable warmth that I just find so astounding, considering the fact that the instruments here that are chosen are so jagged and typically abrasive. Yet you never get any moments on this LP that actually feel like shrill to your ear. Footwork in a Forest Fire is absolutely brimming with ear candy, with those really nice layered drums and moments of absolute explosion, and has really harsh screaming that still feels so warm, still has the passion behind the vocals that makes it pop and make it mean something. It's just so wild the way that they all pull this off. The sound play on this album is amazing. There's really no other way to say it. Knees is a beautiful moment. It really featured some meaningful lyrical content on growing up and maturing, along with gorgeous instrumentation that manages to fit these like synth strings and what sounds like shakers or tambourines throughout that I was so captivated by. I have to again restate just how good the mix is on this album. It's so pivotal to making the sounds, these instrumentals, actually come across clearly, not sound so muddy, not sound so shrill. It was so important, and it was done so well. The creative decisions that were made to arrange each and every sound in the mix and the overall sound palette that Injury Reserve worked with were both absolute home runs. I can't say enough good about it. As I mentioned earlier to kick off this review, one of Injury Reserve's strongest traits that made them really special was their knack for writing captivating hooks and structuring songs in a way that made them very infectious, made them anthem-like even. But simply by the design almost of this album, they handicapped this skill of theirs by going down this extremely experimental route. We still get flashes of brilliance when they do manage to weave in some catchier elements into the mix, like on Knees and Superman That. The melodies on Knees are just genius. I love them. Same can be said on Superman that were really explosive and fit really well with the instrumental that they chose. But for the most part, this element in their tool belt is largely absent or underutilized. The lively energy of their previous albums are transformed into a type of more reflective and or cathartic energy, which I'm sure felt more authentic to their feelings, but does limit one of their best traits. The main drawback, though, I have with this album is that there isn't a strong enough lyrical presence. I wanted more moments like Postpartum on this album, where we get more beefy and substantial lyrical moments, because they really worked when they came up on this album. But most of this project is more instrumental driven, with albeit passionate but still repetitive refrains that don't fully do it for me all the time. If they would have left more time for these more fully developed verses and coherent thoughts to manifest, I think this album would have been pushed over the top. But unfortunately, it was just a bit too fragmented lyrically. They managed to find this great balance between fierce experimentation and listenability in the production, but I don't believe they were able to find a similar balance between delivering passionate, raw emotion in the vocal performances and coherent thoughts in the lyricism. I just don't think that they fully hit the mark. Musically, I was very impressed still. I just wish this was stronger lyrically, had just more true verses in it, with more emphasis put on that aspect of the album. But I would say this is still probably my favorite Injury Reserve album when it's all said and done. I truly am very inspired by how the group has carried themselves following the death of Groggs. And generally, I'm rooting for these guys. They seem to really be doing things the right way. And I think it's very commendable how they just, with all of this attention being put on them, without literally one of their best friends and one of three main group members, to go this left and to take this kind of risk, I find that so inspiring. I wish more artists would do this generally, but in their position, it would have been so much easier for them to just, I guess, mail it in and just try to make money and play it safe and just make like a fan-pleasing, crowd-pleaser kind of album. There's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but I would think usually that doesn't lead to the best musical results. But yeah, this is really impressive. Maybe not everything I wanted it to be, but still a very impactful project that, depending on your taste, you may like even more than I do. So I give Injury Reserves, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, a high 7 on 10. This project has me definitely intrigued to see where they go from here. So props to them. I hope they're doing great. I hope they're coping with their loss and finding new ways to be happy. And I look forward to see what they got cooking up next. So this concludes today's episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some fresh new perspectives on the latest rap releases, as well as a recommendation for the next great rap record to add to your collection. If you're an artist looking to level up your career, getting more gigs, album sales, merch sales, whatever it may be, I would love to help you with that by providing you artist development and writing services. So if you're interested, contact me via email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com or hit me up via Twitter or Instagram at rapmusicplugpod. I would be honored to lend my expertise and help you grow your career as an artist. And also for regular rap fans that just want to hear more quality commentary on the genre, follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. For exclusive content and updates related to the show, follow the Rap Music Plug podcast on Facebook to help the show grow and ensure that everyone's listening to the best rap music at all times. Follow the show on the podcast platform of your choice. Make sure you leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts so that the show can be spotlighted by that wonderful algorithm and be exposed to more people. You can find all of this information along with exclusive playlists created by myself by clicking the link that's in the episode's notes. So that's all for today. Talk to you soon. Peace.